Hello, I am Vamika Bansal and I'm a computer science major. I'm also a senior at Purdue University. This is my very first time taking a video game development course. I didn't really have any prior experience in video game development at Polytechnic University at Purdue. The only experience I had was using Coursera by taking courses such as Introduction to Game Development, and the other course that I had taken was pretty much Principles of Game Design. I self studied what it is to be like coding and doing game dev stuff by myself. In my free time, I did do some smaller scale projects. For example, I made a game Escape to Space during a hackathon, and all of the sprites or the models that you can see here was basically taken from free source websites such as Turbo Squid and other copyright free websites. And I had also made some prototypes for kids games so that they could learn Hindi or probably alphabets, but this was basically my experience. As you can tell, the biggest challenge for me was getting used to Unreal because my prior experience was only with Unity. And after being comfortable with Unreal, the biggest challenge was to be comfortable enough to be competitive in my class because there were so many people in there who had prior experience and were super good. I actually used my time during the prototype game to get better at Unreal. I tried new ideas and I learned new stuff. I, I worked with team members who helped me get to know Unreal better, and that basically helped me to be comfortable enough with Unreal for the final project. So, as you can see, I tried up various stuff with Unreal that helped me. The second challenge we faced, Hautian and I, while working for our final game, was to find the perfect idea. For example, if you remember this water hoop game, this was super famous, and I wanted to basically recreate this game, having the perfect physics for the hoops and everything, and have multiple levels so that basically on a phone app you can recreate this game, which would be super cool. However, that was a very simplistic idea and a lot of physics and fluids stuff to involved. So Hautian, my team member, basically was leaning towards the visual novels. Now, visual novels were pretty cool. Like I would say that was a really good idea. But the main problem was having the perfect storyline. We did not have a good storyline in mind, and we knew we had to start the game as soon as we can because of the limited time amount. So we basically struggled with finding the best idea that we could come up with and have our final game as good as possible. When we agreed upon doing Four Eyes, No Eyes, where the protagonist, Delilah, has like not a 2020 vision and she loses her glasses and needs to hurry to her class because she woke up really late, we really liked this idea because of it had many pros. So the first pro was that since she cannot see, we don't have to be super rigid about how our textures would be like because certain blurriness can help us with not having super defined textures. The second thing was that the environment was an apartment. Now I thought of the visual novel idea and other ideas, but they demanded like large scale levels and a very large scale of the game in general. By choosing this game, the scope of our environment was pretty reduced, and the number of chores and things you could do was it had a defined limit. So, if we actually really reached high, aimed really high in the sense of coming with an action game, even something simple like 2D or something, we do subconsciously end up promising more because when we say, oh, hey, we are doing like a shooting game, you have a lot of other games like this one to compare with, and then having like a very basic game where you can barely throw like pellets at something would be really disappointing. So we wanted to come up with a unique idea that nobody has anything to compare it from, so we have an edge. And also, like having a mini game, like a super small defined game, would give us the opportunity to furnish and polish the small game more, and not have like a very incomplete big game that doesn't exactly tell you what the scope is. So now if you look at the game is very focused and small, but it gives you the idea of what it's going for, and it won't take more than a few more months to actually deliver a furnished product, unlike some other game which would require something more intense. The third challenge for me was working with blueprints. I've never ever used blueprints before. I was actually leaning towards working with C++, but then I realized, like, hey, this is my chance to learn something new, and I knew that if I'm stuck, Brantley would be a resourceful person and he can help me through it. And on actually researching a lot on Google, like about blueprints and all, and bothering Brantley a few times, I did somehow actually was able to do like tricky blueprint coding stuff, which was pretty cool, yet really challenging. So I would say that the things that helped me the most with understanding blueprints was a lot of independent research. Like YouTube was really good. Like, of course, the Unreal web form and all that stuff was helpful. Sometimes those were the best resources, but most of the times, especially like with very basic Unreal stuff, YouTube was really resourceful. And obviously, when I was super stuck and I had no idea what to do, and Google didn't help me, Brantley was always there to help me and basically save me from the troubles I'm stuck at. Thing that was actually super challenging was animations. So as you know, I have no like background in animation or so, if I did not know how to use like super fancy softwares, but the only way I thought I could work around was probably coding animation. So this is what Brandy suggested me to, code up using transforms, use blueprints and stuff, and basically make things move and look like you've animated it. So that's what I went for. The first animation I added was the door. So as you can see, the door opens up on interacting with it. The second animation I added was brushing your teeth. So basically, when you grab a brush, you're able to see the movement of it going to and fro. The third animation that I added was actually drinking coffee. This was not supposed to be like a mandatory chore for the game, but it was something that you do as fun, like, oh no, it's Bailey's, it wasn't coffee, like yuck, that sort of a thing, like just to add a bit fun in this game. The animations that I've done were using Spline. So I found like YouTube tutorials that helped me, how to work with Spline and all. So I for the cup I used, modifying transform, like spawning and destroying the actor and toggling visibility. And so for the toothbrush I went with Spline. So if you can see over here in the viewport, like there's a spline which you can edit in the first person map. So this is how I went about doing animations by actually not using any third party softwares for that. Yep. I would say overall for this game, the main objective for us was having something really unique, something really creative, yet something that doesn't disappoint the audience by promising too much. We kept the game minimalistic yet super super interesting at the same time. At least that's what we went for. Something that we did underestimated was how much time it'll take. Like we expected much more things to be added to, like a fancier inventory, maybe like pop-up messages on collecting objects and stuff. We did shoot a little higher than expected. We did have more troubles than we thought so, but the main idea with this game was having a narrower scope and making it like more finished instead of aiming for the stars and not being able to accomplish even one fifth of what you desired, that sort of a thing. So that was the main idea that we had whenever we made the design decisions. So Hautian and I used GitHub for most of combining our stuff. We did run into problems with that, but it mostly worked for us. The design decisions was basically like we just separated ways of art stuff versus coding stuff. So I got all the collectible or the show related items. I got them from Turbo Squid and I coded them individually. Yet on the other hand, Hao Tian worked on the level design, so he was working on how to get the environment correct and the textures right, that sort of a thing, and basically combining the objects that I had coded up in the game.